The daughter of a man who started working to support his family in the 3rd grade, Patricia Arzate was born December 23, 1958, in Mexico City. Growing up, Patricia's family had a great influence on her value for learning. Patricia remembers her grandfather reading the newspaper from the beginning to the end every single day. Her grandfather kept all of his books in a special place, on a special shelf in the house, where no one else could touch them. As a child, sometimes her grandpa would read aloud to Patricia. Despite her young age, her grandfather read to her about topics that concerned adults, such as property and medicine. Beyond the example that was set by her grandpa as an avid reader, Patricia's immediate family also played an important role in her attitude toward learning. The 4th of 7 children, Patricia remembers her mother being a very busy woman. Her mother finished her studies to become a nurse. However, after marrying, she decided not to pursue a career in nursing. Still, her mother loved to learn. She loved to take classes about anything and everything. As an adult, Patricia took classes with her mother as well. Guitar lessons, sewing lessons, baking lessons, singing lessons, and anything else that they could find to enroll in. Beyond the adults in her family, Patricia's siblings also encouraged learning through their devotion to school. Studying to be an engineer, her older brother was always reading and writing for homework. Similar to her grandfather's special bookshelf, Patricia had a special place in the house where she did all of her homework, the living room. At school, one teacher in particular sponsored Patricia's learning. Her physics teacher made science interesting and gave Patricia her first taste of working in a laboratory. After high school, the enthusiasm Patricia first experienced in the physics lab translated into an actual job working as a lab analyst. There, Patricia worked in quality control, weighing samples and testing them for vitamins and various other ingredients. She learned to operate computers specific to her job in the lab. Patricia loved her work. In fact, she didn't think of it as work at all. However, whenever she had children, Patricia gave up her job as a lab analyst so that she could stay at home with her kids. With her husband working as a mechanic and the lab position running from 8 to 5, Patricia couldn't do both. Her husband's family had a life-altering impact on Patricia's literacy whenever they invited her to join their family in the United States. In 1992, Patricia and her family moved to Springdale, Arkansas. There, she would plunge into yet another type of learning. Moving to the United States immersed the Arzate family in both a culture and a language that was foreign from their own. Beyond the economic opportunities that the United States could offer, one of the biggest reasons that Patricia and her husband decided to take the plunge was for the educational opportunities it could offer their children. Patricia wanted her children to learn English. However, the desire to learn English was not a hope that Patricia had for just her kids alone. Now, Patricia attends English classes at an adult learning center almost every night of the week. Despite the passage of time, she employs many of the same learning tools in her adult English classes as she did as a girl in Mexico City. Similar to her experience in school, all of the assignments at the learning center are written on paper. This differs from the way that Patricia's own children, even her grandchildren, are learning and experiencing the world. Technology's role in the education seems to be increasing for the younger generation of students, but for Patricia, paper and pencil remain both familiar and accessible in terms of education. Currently, Patricia works cleaning houses in Springdale. In her free time, she enjoys spending time with group members from her aerobics class. In this class, Patricia is the only Hispanic member, so English is very important for building those relationships. As part of the group, Patricia shares recipes with her friends, goes to other group members' houses to share food, and participates in monthly game nights. It is evident that place has had a significant impact on the types of learning that Patricia has invested herself in at various points throughout her life. In Mexico City, school literacy, the ability to read and write and complete homework assignments, was valued in her family. Success and achievement in this type of literacy is what allowed her brother to study engineering at the university level, and what propelled her mother through nursing school. It is also what opened the door for Patricia to work as a lab analyst after high school. Work at the laboratory, on the other hand, carried with it its own set of required literacies, including scientific vocabulary, an understanding of certain machines and computers in the lab, and the protocol of lab work as a whole. In Mexico City, work and school were the two most influential sectors of life that shaped Patricia's learning. and the home was the place where the value for those literacies was most often encouraged. However, in the United States, English literacy and the ability to interact in and become a part of the local community became incredibly important. In Springdale, school literacy was again necessary, as it would aid Patricia in learning English. However, the purpose of this school-based learning was no longer for a career or for success in the future, but rather for more practical everyday interactions and relationships. The knowledge that place can have such a direct impact on a person's purpose and value for learning has important implications for teachers. First, acknowledging this relationship can aid teachers in better understanding why a teacher may or may not feel motivated to learn certain subjects at school, as well as how better to engage those students, based on what is a motivation for them. For Patricia, the home environment that she grew up in encouraged reading and homework, the types of literacy that schools have traditionally valued. However, other students from other homes and different upbringings may not have come to school with such a natural inclination for book-based literacies. These students may have come to school with a knowledge based in hands-on work. If this was the case, teachers might have better served their students by incorporating interactive lesson plans, group projects, or even by allowing the students some choice in how they want to demonstrate their learning. Beyond that, understanding the influence that place has on a student's learning can also transform an educator's view of the students themselves. For students like Patricia, writing papers and reading books may have considerable value, but for others, these skills may be irrelevant. Beyond the walls of the classroom, they may not have a place in their lives at all. It is vital that educators do not slip into a mindset that a lack of relevance means that these students are missing anything. If teachers can understand the relationship between literacy and place, as well as the motivations and the purpose for literacy in those places, they can build on the literacies that are already valuable and relevant to their students. For example, for English language learners like Patricia, having the opportunity to play board games in English might be more motivating than memorizing the vocab lists that they see in the textbook. In the end, acknowledging the relationship between place and literacy will allow educators to recognize that one type of literacy is no more valid than another.